All right, what is going on, everybody? It is your girl Pam with 2200 Taps. Dude, we've had amazing guests thus far. We've had some pretty kick-ass guests. If you ask me, man, we're just gonna keep going with these beautiful people and these amazing stories. And if you've stuck with us this past 4 years, we just hit our 4-year anniversary April 1st. So we're pretty rocking and rolling. And yeah, my guest is like cheering for us. So thanks for that, my mystery guest. But not so much mystery because I'm about to introduce her. She is a freaking rock star in so many ways. I can't wait to dive in. Her name is Kate Hwang. Is it Hwang or Hwang?
Hwang.
That's the Korean way to say it, guys. I promise you I'm not like racist or anything. She told me that. How do you say it?
It's Kate Hwang with the hard H.
Well, God, I'm not going to be able to do this. Kate is actually a retired Kansas City police officer, Kansas City, Missouri. We had Tyler Moss recently. Depending on where we're at with these episodes, we do have a few Kansas City police officers, herself included, and anybody that's willing to share these stories of the stuff that they've just been through, man. And I think at the end of the day, that's all we want, is to be heard. We want people to ask us what we need. I learned that from another guest of ours, which is a beautiful story. And today we are honored to have Kate here today. I can't wait to dive in. So let's just do that. Kate, thank you so much for being here today. Seriously, thank you.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Of course, buddy. I know, I love you for that. I've never told you that. It's so cool and cute when you say that. It's so cool. I feel special. I feel super special.
Well, you are.
Aw, right back at you. Well, for those that can't see, Kate and I have a very similar style in the way we dress, and we love to wear hats. So, yeah, you're one of my favorites because of that, just so you know.
Yeah, you'll never catch me probably not wearing a hat unless I can't.
Same.
This is inappropriate to wear it.
Yeah, I just went to a black tie event, which, man, that was wow.
I saw the pictures. You guys look real nice.
It was dope. Thank you. It was for a nonprofit, merging vets and players, and some fancy stuff there. We'll probably talk about it a little bit later, or hopefully we can get some people on from there. But I met Kate, speaking of nonprofits, amazing segue. I met Kate when she came through the Adaptive Training Foundation, which we talk about a lot. Guys, that is my family. So if you're sick of me talking about it, tough shit, these guys are my world. This is my family, away from my immediate family. And what a special, organization, but a special group of people. And Kate just so happened to come through one of the classes recently, or if you hear this from 10 years from now, it's been a while. And I got to tell you, Kate, when you first came through, I was excited for you. I'll tell you why in a minute. But before we get into that, can you kind of help our listeners understand a little bit about your background, who you are, and what makes you who you are today?
Yeah. Well, like you introduced me, I'm a retired Kansas City, Missouri police officer. Growing up, all I wanted to be was a cop, like legit. That's all I thought about. Even when I was just a little kid, played cops and robbers all the time back in the day, before there were cell phones, before there was internet. That's kind of more my era, when we actually played outside.
Mine too.
And so yeah, that's all I wanted to be. So I did everything that I was supposed to, stayed out of trouble, went to school, went to college, got my 4-year, and I hustled right out of college to go down and wanted to be a cop in 2 places. They were offering Kansas City, Missouri, and New York City PD.
What?
And 9/11 happened right when I was in college.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it was very surreal. But as soon as that happened, I also realized that my interview was being backtracked because of everything that was happening in New York at that time. So Kansas City pulled through before New York did.
Yeah.
I was already hired on and been given an offer before New York was able to, get their city together and get everything together and offer me an academy stay down there. So it was just a matter of happenstance and the way the world works that came down to Kansas City first.
Wow, I didn't even know that, and I've known you for a little while now.
Oh.
I knew nothing about you applying to New York or any of that good stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Could have been a completely different
Yeah,
life. Completely
dude.
different life.
Yes, it could have.
Yeah.
But it, like you said, happenstance. That's a good little word. It's a big word. I don't know if I'm gonna remember it from now after today. But um, yeah, you're a Kansas City police officer. How long were you a police officer before you retired?
I want to say, this is where my time gets foggy. I want to say it was a good 6, 7 years.
Okay.
So definitely not that lifer.
Yeah.
But the one positive note that I take on it is that when I was on from straight out the academy to the time that I separated, like I feel like I really got to do a lot of things that I wanted that was like on the bucket list.
Yeah.
So even though like I kind of look back at it sometimes, I'm like, oh man, like my dream was to make a career out of it, to really go up the ranks. I felt like I had the potential to really go up the ranks and like make that, 30-year, 35-year veteran career out of it.
Mm.
But I really kind of got to do all the fun, nitty gritty, dirty stuff that I wanted to do. So I'm really glad that I grinded hard in the beginning to get what I wanted out of it.
What was the nitty gritty like? Okay, I got to ask you this because I have a lot of police officers in my family and friends. I just have to ask this because one of my friends did this. Were you ever undercover dressed as a hooker?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
you were?
Yes. Like legit.
Oh,
Like
dude.
of course, like none of that shit is like a Pretty Woman, but
no, it's way
like
worse.
the funnest shit was all my undercover work. Did
Uh,
stuff with Vice, of course. Hooked up with Vice on several occasions,
mm.
doing lots of different regular street decoys and then specialty decoys. But like Vice was fun, don't get me wrong, because like everybody asks you, hey, did you ever work with Vice? Did you ever stand on a street corner? Did you ever like pick up
Like the
Johns? Did
fake
you ever, do whatever?
tattoos and
I'm
all
like,
that
yes,
stuff.
and it was like fun. And the funny things is the shit that the Johns say. Like,
Like what?
the like one time we were rolling down the street and we were standing on the corner doing a typical Vice decoy on the corner where these idiots just
Yeah.
loop around until they have the guts to come up and we would play games on who could get the cheapest John and the most expensive John. So one time we were out and I won for the cheapest John, where we got him for I think it was like a cheeseburger because it's any intrinsic thing of value.
A
So
cheeseburger?
yeah, a cheeseburger. So I think it was like a fuck and a suck for a cheeseburger.
Shut
So,
up.
so
Oh my
like,
God.
so you actually have to write that on the GOS on
On
the
the
tag.
report?
So like on the ticket that he's gonna go to court
Oh my
for. So
God,
he's
that is
like, we'll
amazing.
have a fuck and a suck for a
A
McDonald's
cheeseburger.
cheeseburger because the McDonald's was right down the road. So I was like, I'll fucking suck you over there in the bushes, but
Damn dollar menu,
you,
man.
you gotta go get me a cheeseburger afterwards because I'm gonna be motherfucking hungry.
I could so see you doing this. It's
But
stupid.
lots of
Oh,
times we
that's
do stupid little
amazing.
things like, I'll go suck you off for $5 because it'd be like a guy like saying, they the police, they the motherfucking police
Oh my
and
God.
bullshit like that. And so we just want to get him away.
Oh,
So it'd
let
be
me,
like, oh, we'll give you a quick quickie. Come on over here, buddy.
okay.
And
Well, let me stop you right there. I apparently opened up Pandora's box on this one, guys. There are little ears around. I want to apologize,
oh,
but you and I both know that this podcast is raw and uncensored and unfiltered, and I'm not going to edit that. So I'm not putting quacks or any little things in place. This is the shit that, like, legit, as a police officer undercover, this you have got to you have to sell the role to get these guys or girls or whoever, right? Thanks for being so transparent, Kate.
yeah, man. You got AP, you got the Asian persuasion on, man. You're gonna get what you're gonna get.
Asian persuasion. Oh my God, that's how I'm gonna like. I should have introduced you like that. And for those that can't see Kate, this is gonna be on YouTube, so we're just gonna have to like. Oh my gosh, dude.
We
I,
rolling
I, I
now.
promise you we're gonna get to her story, but we have to like. God, no wonder it's like the best years of your life right there. I would have had a
Dude,
blast.
I know. Well, and like those are like the Vice ones were like the funnest because you're not in a lot of danger
Mhm.
and like you just get like crazy guys. I mean, they'd pull
Yeah.
out with, you know, you but like the one I was gonna tell you was the guy would roll out and he was like, ha ha ha, what can we do with this? And then he
No.
pulls back his blanket and on in his
Oh no.
blanket was this dildo that was like as big as my head.
What?
And it was like as big as me. And I was like,
Oh my
oh, you want to be a
God.
bad
Dude, this
boy. It was just
podcast
like,
just went
oh my God.
sideways. We're like 13 minutes in and we've already gone sideways in the show.
But yeah, so it was just
Oh
like,
my
so like those are the ones where like you're not in a lot of danger, but like you get
God.
so many crazy stories off of
Oh,
like one detail. It was just like off the chain.
oh
Like those
man.
are fun.
Those are fun. Oh my God. Yeah.
Pam, you're
Yeah.
still, your eye, I can see your face. You're still thinking about that giant dildo.
I am not actually. I'm thinking
Look at
about
your
like the radio play we're trying to get and to see, wonder if my listeners are still listening.
You need
It's
to
fine.
you
It's
need to put an
fine.
explicit you need to put an
Oh,
explicit on this
I put
one
them on
and be
everything.
like
I put
this one's gonna be a little naughty.
Asian persuasion. oh, oh shit. I'm like losing my train of thought. Thanks, Kate. God
Yeah, no worries.
dang.
Well, while
Oh
you're regaining your thought for all you listeners out there,
no.
Noko,
She's holding a can of Noco.
only the best
Dude, no,
for the best.
Noco tastes like doo doo. Like I had
What
one that did not taste good. I'm sorry.
what flavor?
I don't remember. That's why I didn't like it. I didn't want to remember what flavor.
Mm,
It just had this
no,
weird aftertaste.
no. Did you see? I went out and
Guys,
bought
she's
some.
literally showing us Noco as though she's
Mm.
promoting it. You got to get on YouTube to see this. Stop. 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 Now you look like you're thinking about that damn dildo. Stop it. Oh my gosh. Did I see what?
No, but that was good. That I mean, those are fun.
Yeah.
But
No, back up.
I
Back up.
was
Back up. Back
yeah.
up. Did I see what? You're going to
Did I
say
see what?
something.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. You trying to
Oh,
forget what you just said?
oh, I can't remember.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
That's part of this whole story.
yeah,
TBIs
yeah.
are a real thing. I get that. I get it. As you were.
No, but no, the thing that I really worked hard for is to get undercover drugs. And I really wanted to buy undercover drugs. That was my biggest thing. So I
Yeah.
made detective early, and I got into undercover drug enforcement, which you've got street narcotics, and they buy like little hand to hands, like little tens, little dimes, nickels and stuff like that. But
Small
I
stuff,
wanted to
yeah.
buy like the big drugs. I was like, yeah, buddy,
You
we're
like
gonna
big
do
stuff,
this
don't you?
right. I like big stuff. So yeah,
Oh,
you
God.
only go big. So street narcotics unit, we dealt like more like ounces, pounds, kilos. We had a DEA and an FBI attachment
Mhm.
to our unit. So when we got snitches and stuff like that, or confidential informants, um,
CIs, yeah.
yeah, we worked with them and did that stuff. But that was super fun. Quite enjoyed that.
Dude, were you in the force when Tyler got shot?
Mm-mm.
Or Tom?
No, I'm old.
Oh, those you
I
were
am old.
you were okay, you're before the guys.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
very, very old.
You're not that old.
I
You make it sound like you're old and we're probably the same age. Stop it. Stop.
I am old.
Are you
I am
still in
old.
oh no, because then I'm gonna give away my age.
Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind. I
Yeah,
won't do that.
we won't do that on this
No.
podcast, Pam.
I'm sure people could figure it out, but nah, we're good. I'll leave them
Yeah.
hanging. So you weren't there, or obviously you had already retired before they both came
Mm-hmm.
through and
Mm-hmm.
both got shot in the head.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dude, Kansas City, I swear, like we've had so many people from Kansas City come through down here to Dallas with the Adaptive Training Foundation, and so much love to you guys. Like y'all are such a tight knit little bunch up there. You really are.
Yeah, we are. It's a very small community,
Mhm.
and then when you start talking about adaptive community, it gets even
Yeah.
smaller. I forgot I forgot how small Kansas City was because when we're there, it's like, oh, it's a big city, Kansas
Mhm.
City, on the map. You can actually see it, like it's big. But then when I went down to Dallas, especially for the long period of time that I was there, and I saw like just more of the things that you guys have. You guys have so many resources. Just even like things like when you go out to eat, you have all these choices, small things, and then all the, programs and resources and everything else like that. I'm like, well, and then even silly things like traffic. I'm like, oh, Dallas is an actual big city. Like,
Well,
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, you don't run into, Tom, Dick, and Harry here and there and whatnot. So, um, yeah, Dallas is a real city. Kansas City is Midwest small city. Like
Hmm.
it is a city, but it's still like, I mean, I run into people all the time at the market. I mean, we see each other. It's very common to see people, all the time.
I would imagine Kansas City is bigger, but I guess not, huh?
No,
No?
no, no,
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
no.
And I've never been there.
Yeah, it's small.
I lived in Chicago. So
It's
if it's smaller than
small.
Chicago, then I get it.
It's tiny. Don't get me wrong. I ain't hating on Kansas City. Got much love for it, but I mean, being a minority,
Mm,
it's small. Like kind of talking on those lanes too. It's still small.
yeah.
So when I got down to Dallas, that's what I love going to other places. It's just like, oh, I was like, oh, I see my people. I see other people. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Well, ATF's
So,
damn near in the hub of, I call it like Chinatown, but it's not. It's just, it's
oh,
right
it
down. It
is.
legit is like Asian markets, this, that, and the other. It's right down the road from it.
I mean, our hotel was right behind we called it the Asian Mall. We
Yeah.
went there all the time. Like
Yeah.
we went there all the time. We ate there, we hung out there,
Hmm.
we played video games down there.
Yeah.
Like it was literally right behind our we
Your
don't know
hotel.
what the appropriate name was, but we just called it Asian Mall.
Hey, I mean, so do I. I forget what the name of it is. Um, well, very cool, man. Well, let's, now that we've broken the ice, um, man, I'm ready to dive into your story if that's cool with you.
Yeah, for real.
Um, yeah, and I do want to warn the listeners, like I said, if there are little ears around, I mean, just be mindful, and if this gets hard for you, pause it, but come back because I don't want you to stay in it. Um, I tell people, full disclaimer, I am not a therapist. I am not a life coach. I do not try to play one. Yes, I stayed at a Holiday Inn once, but that's not that's not my jam. We just want to ask people simple questions and see where they take us. So I will hand you the floor and kind of, what ultimately happened to you. I know what happened to you, but what was it that happened to you that led you on this journey that you're on now?
Well, my injury, and the silly thing is, I need to get better about this, is I couldn't even tell you what my alive date is. I know it's the summertime. I always have to refer back to my phone and look
Mm,
because I can never remember.
it's all right.
But I went off on vacation, and when I came back, we always have like roll call and stuff like that. And apparently something had happened in my sector, which people were being naughty. I worked more in the inner city area. So people were being naughty, and Sarge wanted it like red lighted, which basically is short for, you know, he doesn't want any violations, no car violations, no pet violations. If you get a call for service. If something happened, just don't blow it off. You're going to be writing paper, whatever. He wanted it locked down, which is understandable if,
Mm,
for whatever happened. I don't even know what happened.
yeah.
But so my partner, we get out on service, and my partner takes me around, and he's showing me around the X amount of square block area of what happened. And he's telling me, and he's catching me up. And I'd been gone for a while. So just kind of shooting the shit. Well, while we were driving around, we saw a car that was parked facing the wrong way on a one-way street. Stupid moving violation or a parking violation.
Mm,
So we were like, oh, I guess we gotta ticket this vehicle. I'm like, okay, easy peasy. So we write the violation. We park a few blocks down. We write out the violation, so we're not sitting out in front of it. And then we hold ourselves out, get behind the car, hold ourselves out. Everything was by the book. We really didn't think much of it because I believe it was the beginning of our shift. Um, and we write out the ticket, all that fun stuff. And we have to get the VIN number off the front of the vehicle to put on the ticket.
Mm.
And so we walk up to the car, get the VIN number. He sticks it in the on the windshield because back when we still had paper tickets, sticks it out in the front shield of the car. And we're starting to walk back to our car, and he gets in, and we almost have the door shut, and you can hear from a mile away, but it was really the house up the block. This lady just fucking going off like la, 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 like
Because y'all wrote a ticket?
obscenity. Yeah, racial obscenity, racial obscenity, racial obscenity, mainly yelling at my partner because he was white. And she was saying, F this, F that, you white devil, this, that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh God. So she comes down, she snatches the ticket off the window, rips it up in a million pieces, and then straight in the squad car window. And I look at my partner and I'm like, he was a nice, very, very nice gentleman. A little bit of little man syndrome. But very, very nice.
Yeah, I know where you're going with
Very,
that.
very nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice gentleman. Really, really liked him. So I looked at him and I was like, no. In the beginning, I was like, we're not doing anything. She can scream and yell all she wants. But when she ripped it up and threw it, people started coming out of their houses and looking. So now she's creating a disturbance. Now she ripped up her ticket and then she just littered in front of us. So now we're having some more issues. So at that point, I'm like, oh, we both looked at each other like, gosh darn it. Now we're stuck having to do something. So we're like, here we go. So I'm like, all right, fine. Fine. So I keyed up my mic to hold us out on a ped check. And as I was doing that, my partner was stepping out of his vehicle. And you can just hear as I'm keying up the mic, la, 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 like she's just yelling and screaming, and you can hear it over the mic.
Yeah.
And I was trying to say, 215, whatever we were, hold us out on a ped check, black female, blah, 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 blah. And I could barely get that out because she's running around and she's got her fist coming like she's going to roundhouse punch him. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And so as I'm almost put the stop out, I hit my assist the officer button.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get out of the car. And so while I'm trying to do all this stuff in a split second, out of sight of my eye, I see a whole bunch of other individuals coming out of the same house, barreling toward us. And I'm just thinking, oh God, this is not going to be good. And so my partner is already dealing with the female who's basically pummeling him. I'm trying to get out of the side of the squad car to go help him. And I can hear my radio go off. I hear the tones go off, the alert tones, which are like doo-doo, 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 like that. And so I can hear the radio kind of saying, 213, where they at? 222, I'm headed that direction. So I know people are coming. But as I'm trying to get around the front of the hood, I just feel this force like that just pull me back. And I'm like, oh, there they are.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm like, oh, shit.
They got you.
They got me. And all I can just feel is just like people just smashing the shit out of me. And I'm just like, oh, this isn't good. But the only thing I could think of is I don't want to be shot with my own gun.
Yeah.
So it just went back to repetition of handgun retention. And they like drill the shit out of you in the academy with reps. And so I went back to just the rep of handgun retention, ensuring that my handgun stayed in my holster. And then at some point too, I remember like trying to do an arm bar with one arm, which was stupid, but it was just kind of like half holding your gun in your holster and half like trying to get something. And that was dumb because I should have just, I don't know, but it was like kind of muscle memory of trying to get something, but it's not going to work unless you have two hands. So it's just kind of dumb, but just getting pummeled. I just remember just getting pummeled. But then as I was trying to pull someone, like trying to get that arm bar, I remember stepping back. And as I was stepping back, I think me and one or two of the assailants, we fell backwards and I hit the back of my head on a curb. And then I don't remember too much after. Things that I think that I've been told was that I started seizing. They continued to hit and kick me on the ground. But I don't remember a lot after that. And then that was basically the incident. It was the citywide assist. It didn't turn out to be a like a singular assist. The whole city came to assist because a whole riot occurred on the whole block, is from what I've been told. But it was just kind of a huge shit show over a parking ticket.
Over a parking ticket.
Yeah.
Had that
Yeah.
lady just shut her mouth and just taking it like a woman.
It was just a $25 parking ticket. It was just so dumb. Like it was ridiculous. And it was back in 2000, 2003, like before there was a lot of issue with anything. I mean, it was just dumb. It was so dumb. It was before cameras, cell phones, flip phone. Oh, I had a flip phone that barely had a cell phone on it. That's where the department was with cell phones.
Yeah.
We didn't even have cameras yet at that point.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't have cameras. Officers weren't camered up. I mean, it was ridiculous over something that stupid.
Let me ask you this. When backup came, did they end up arresting all these assholes, for lack of better terms? Whatever
I believe they got arrested. I think a lot of my frustration and pain and issues that occurred over a lengthy period of time is how things got handled in the aftermath with lots of different things. And now that 25 years have passed, so I've had a lot of time to process and whatever, but I think at the time they thought that if they processed them through city court, they'd get a harsher sentence. They didn't also know the extent of my injuries, so they're like, oh, again, back in 2003, it was like, rub some dirt on it, come back to work, and let's get to work. They didn't know the extent of my injuries and everything else. They're just kind of like, let's just process it through city. They should have processed it through state court and given them maximum sentence. They just processed it through city court and it got continued like 7 or 8 times. And then I think they got off with a suspended sentence. So basically nothing. So it was very frustrating for me that I felt that the system let me down, and then I got frustrated with the department, like they didn't do their job. So that part was a little frustrating.
Yeah.
But I can't do anything about it now. But it took me a long time to process that and be like, what happened, guys?
All right, so let's back up a little bit, right? So you get injured. You don't remember much about that, but do you remember waking up in the hospital? And if so, what was going through your mind that you can remember?
I think I don't remember a lot about my hospital stays, but I do remember it was a lot of go into the hospital, come out, go into the hospital, come out, because I was having a lot of issues with seizures. And a lot of it was, and again, I could be misspeaking because I can't really remember a lot.
It's all right. It's all right.
But I remember it was go in, go out, go in, go out. And it was a lot, again, and no discredit to the police department by any all means, but it was a lot of, I heard a lot of whispers in my ear of, my police officer friends and stuff. And it was like, oh, say this and do this. And this is how, this is the process. This is how you get back on. You do this, do that. And, and so it wasn't like someone had a gun to my head and was saying, this is what you need to do to get on. You need to get back on duty. It was just the time. It was just 2003. This is how they handled things. It wasn't like they had, a great care team. It wasn't like they had this. It wasn't like, hey,
it was different.
It was just a completely different time, a completely different way of handling things, a complete different whatever. And it wasn't great because it made the next 10, 15 years of mine very, very difficult. Yeah. But it was just the way that it happened for me. That was just my story.
So when you're going through all of this and time's going by and you're dealing with your injuries, at what point was it discussed that, hey, you may need to retire?
I don't think that's another part of my story where I don't think it was ever discussed with me. I think and again, I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly at all.
That's all right.
I could be remembering it completely wrong, but I do remember that I was having a lot more medical issues. And there it was at the time that I was studying for the sergeant's exam, and I was just having more medical issues, more medical issues. And then all of a sudden, uh, I think I was working the desk or something. I don't know. But one day my major kind of just pulls me in. She's like, "Let me drive you to headquarters, Kate." I'm like, "Why are you driving me to headquarters?" "Oh, just driving you." I'm like, "Okay." And so she drives me to headquarters, brings me up to like seventh floor benefits, and there's my husband sitting right next there, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we're retiring you. You're medically retired. You can no longer be a police officer." And I was like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "This is how you're gonna do it? That's you guys are assholes."
Wow, yeah.
So it was kind of a like dick way. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no better way to say that. But again, I feel like that's 25 years ago. Like that's a complete I feel like I'm making kind of a lot of excuses for them, but like they're a business too. Like I don't know what legal ramifications they had and what business ramifications they had, but like they had their own reasons for doing it. And that was then, that was 25 years ago, and it is what it is. But I definitely, for up to like probably not even like a few years, maybe 5 years ago, like I definitely had a lot of issues um with the police department and being able to fully understand and or forgive them for
Yeah.
how they handled a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, that's you know what's the shitty part about that? That's very common. Just how people do it sometimes in departments, and you hear horror stories about departments, and there are good departments out there too.
Yeah.
It all depends on the higher ups, the command, and what all happens there, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people in the command would rather step on their junior just to get rid of them than give them the help that they need. I see it.
Yeah.
I've seen it in the military. I've seen it in some police departments, and I would even venture to say they've gotten better these days.
I would think that they have.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
He's been treated really, really well.
Yeah.
Look at Tom.
Tom.
Those guys have been really treated really well, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
Like the fact that those guys have been taken care of and really well. And I don't know, and maybe part of it has to like the thing that I am really trying to platform is like invisible injuries and are hard to understand. And all three of us, we have technically TBIs, invisible injuries, but they were shot in the head, just like Crystal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like it was a little bit more visible when people can imagine a bullet ripping through someone's head and skull. Like that's very traumatic in itself. People can understand that and empathize that, but someone with a closed head trauma injury doesn't understand. Or why are you still broken?
Yeah.
Like how can you not do that? Or what are your symptoms? Or you look fine right now. So I feel like right now a lot of my platform is like telling other people about it, and or there are probably way more of people like me
Mm-hmm.
walking around than like stories like Tom and Tyler. And not to say that their stories and what they overcome are and Crystal are absolutely amazing,
Mm-hmm.
and how they've been able to hold their head high
Yeah.
and carry on and do such amazing things. But I bet there are hundreds and thousands of people that are like me that have completely, invisible injuries, concussions, things like that that they can't even see. And it's hard
Mm-hmm.
because people don't understand what they're going through, or they can't prove, like nowadays with competitions and stuff, it's hard because it's like, well, prove how disabled you are.
Yeah.
That's how CrossFit is right now with a lot of athletes and other competitions. It's like, well, you have to prove how disabled you are. It's frustrating. It's very
Yeah.
frustrating for people, I think.
I get that because I'm one of them. Like unless you talk to me for a significant amount of time or you watch me, I don't look like I look okay. But the fact of the matter is, I'm fucked up. I have had my fair share of concussions. I was diagnosed with a TBI. I don't know how the hell that happened, but I did go airborne and land on my face, and I've hit my head multiple times. and it's just my memory is shit. But what's funny is that when I interview people, I'm locked in and ready to go. But if you ask me what I did this weekend, I have to like really think about it, or just like we were talking earlier, like trying to find the words. You know what you want to say, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
you can't find it. And the big one for me is if I'm looking up at the sky and it's blue and I know it's blue and you tell me it's blue, I can't process that it's blue. I can't do it that quickly. And
Yeah.
it almost like it
The processing
hurts.
speed.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
mine's gotten slower, significantly slower.
Mm-hmm.
Add on top of that depression, anxiety, and PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
it's a vicious cycle. Um, so I can resonate with you on that, and it is frustrating. And you did mention one of our friends, Crystal. She is Dallas police officer. For those of y'all that, well, y'all wouldn't know because we didn't really talk about that. She's a Dallas police officer. She and her partner were shot a few years back at a Home Depot, and unfortunately, her partner died. Crystal got shot in the face, and she survived. It was a pretty shitty injury, and her recovery was insane, but she made it. She's good. She's here, and we're looking to get her on the show at some point when she's ready. We've already talked about that. Love
Yeah,
her to
Crystal's a badass.
dude. Crystal's badass. Like her and her wife are like the cutest couple ever. And Crystal's just she's like it's. I look at her. I'm like, dude, you're like me. I'm like you're like physically like me. It's kind of funny. And she's literally our sister, and I love her to death. But to your point, with all of them, they've all been shot in the head. They've all
Mm-hmm.
overcome their injury. Tom's learning how to walk again. Tyler is learning how to his coordination again and processing, and you know Tyler just had another seizure not long ago. You yourself had a seizure not long ago, and that's the thing is like you can't see the quote unquote disability unless you're around us for a while.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't get seizures, but I get massive migraines and headaches, and I
Yeah.
freaking hate it. So I think you and I and other people like us can team up to educate people that hey, it's just because you can't see it doesn't mean we're not hurting.
Yeah, for real.
So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
So we're back. We're back, and kind of getting back to your point. You were basically forced retired. If I'm, it's pretty much. You weren't ready to get out of there because you said you wanted to make it a career. There was longevity in it for you, you know?
Yeah.
Well, here you are. You lose your job. You lose your camaraderie. You lose your brothers and sisters. I know what that did for me when I could no longer be in the Coast Guard and I was not ready to get out. What did that do for you?
Oh man, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I same thing with the military when you leave the department, whether like you want to or not,
Yeah.
they call it separating. So you separate from the military or separate from the police department.
Yeah.
So I was medically retired. I was given a pension. They were nice enough to give me a pension, medical pension. And but they call it you separate from
Mm-hmm.
the police department. So I separated, and uh between the medical issues that I was having with my TBI, which were pretty, I mean, at the time I didn't think so, but I guess were substantial because the work noticed it and were saying that, it's enough for you to be medically retired.
Yeah.
The separation from the job, I divorced my husband. I was married at the time, and just with everything that was going on, um, we divorced, and all that happened in about a year's time.
Wow.
So, like
Jeez.
three major life-changing events all happening within a year.
What a loss.
It was very, very difficult. And so when all those things happened all at once, I think it was just too much for me. On top of now, again, looking back on it, I think that the TBI was definitely affecting everything from, the PTSD, depression, the changes in behavior, all those things were all affecting like
Yeah.
decision making skills, like all those things, suicidal ideation, like
Mm-hmm.
all those things were happening, but no one was looking after me. I didn't have a caretaker. My family didn't know what was going on. The the police department didn't have a care team that was reaching out or making sure that I was or cared that I was, doing anything okay. All my friends, my whole family, my whole like unit was within the police department, and they all went their ways because
Yeah.
it was like, oh, she's no longer a cop. Uh, the divorce split sides. So literally everyone just went to the wind, and I felt like I had no one. So I was like all by myself. I was
Yeah.
like, my caretaker now calls me the leaf. Like I was just like a leaf. And that's what I did. I literally, I was in Kansas City for a few years, just like absolutely, completely, probably out of my mind with depression, suicidal ideations every other day. And then I just roamed the country. I wouldn't say homeless, but yes, homeless because I just be in my car, driving from place to place,
Yeah.
doing whatever I wanted to do. If something was cool, I'd do it. If I got tired of it, I'd be like deuces and I'd go out. I do that for quite a long time. I always come back to Kansas City because it was safe because I knew it. And I'd try hold down odd jobs here and there, and I could never hold them down because I didn't have my shit together. And
Hmm.
then I'd leave Kansas City again and I'd run around. Then I'd come back to Kansas City, try to hold down odd jobs, couldn't hold my shit together because I was literally mad at everybody, mad at the police department.
Yeah.
Just did not have my shit together at all. And then randomly, I think when I was kind of leveling out a little bit, I got lucky and I got a few jobs and I was able to hold them down for longer than a year. And I went from one job for a few years, another job to another year, and then another job, and finally getting some services. And I got hooked up with a job at a school, and I was doing really good at like keeping my shit together to go to work, but like my health wise was still pretty shitty.
Yeah.
And somebody realized or could see, I think I had a seizure at school. And then someone was like, where's my security person? Like, she's not here anymore. And they were like, oh yeah, she had a seizure. And they're like, well, is anyone gonna check on her? And they're like, oh. So this teacher went and checked on me, and from there they saw where I was living, which was a very clean house, but it had nothing in it. It was completely empty,
Yeah.
no furniture, no nothing. She was surprised because it didn't have any plates, didn't have any silverware, it's just nothing. And she's like, I think she needs some assistance.
Wow.
And the basically the story is that was that she continued to check on me more and more and more and more and more, and then eventually she just slowly became more entwined in my life to figure out that like yeah, she needs more help, and she got me more help in different places, and things kind of leveled out even more.
That's awesome, dude. Like to have
Yeah,
to have people notice that about you and give you a chance to do something different for yourself. Those people are amazing.
yeah, definitely.
I've got one in my life. Her name's Nancy. She was my Starbucks barista when I was homeless in Illinois, and her and her husband took me in.
Nice.
There's more to that story, and I'll have to share that sometime. Maybe I can get her on. But to have those people that are like, wait, what? Where is she? Like, maybe we should check on her. You know.
Yeah.
Um, so let me ask you this, because we're doing really good on time. Um, How did you get connected with Nicholas?
With Nick?
Yeah,
Nikki?
Nikki. Yeah, and guys, Nick has an amazing gym for adaptive athletes. What's it called again? I always butcher it.
Iron Adaptive.
Iron Adaptive. Sorry, Nick. Love you, Nick. Shout out, Nick. I'm sorry, Nick. It's Iron Adaptive out there, and he houses a lot of you guys. Everybody we've mentioned pretty much, minus Crystal.
Yeah.
How did you get connected with him, and how did you get connected with ATF?
Well, actually, Nick and I worked at the same gym together, an adaptive gym, and we just hit it off right away. I think there was three coaches, and of course, him and I, like, we were like that right away. We saw eye to eye on all sorts of things,
Right.
and so we hit it off really well together. And ever since then, moving different jobs. He left that gym and went to the Iron Adaptive gym. I stayed at that gym for a little while longer. But no matter where we've been in our lives, we've always supported each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the great thing about Nick. He's great. I think him and I both have our hearts in the same world.
Mm-hmm.
We're all about assisting with adaptive athletes, and because I am one, and he has a son in that world, and so we both have our hearts in the right spot. And I don't know. Nick's always been a great friend to me, and I hope he can say the same thing about
I'm
me.
sure he can.
But yeah, he's got a great gym, Iron Adaptive, and actually tonight, um, myself and Patty, we're gonna go out and go to the Royals game with a whole bunch of athletes because his co-owner is gonna run around during seventh inning, I think, and
Oh
he's
no.
catch up.
Oh, right on.
You know when like
Yeah,
the hot
yeah.
dogs race?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
gonna be chasing after them.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah.
Now Patty's your caretaker.
Yes,
Okay, yeah,
yes.
Patty, and we got to meet her when she came down to
Yeah,
Dallas.
yeah, yeah. She's
Um,
awesome.
well, real quick, so how did you get connected with ATF, and what did your journey with the Adaptive Training Foundation look like?
No. Well, it was one, ATF, I think they popped up on my Instagram somehow. And the funny thing is that they got a great social presence, and they were doing, I think it was like a military to the mountains something or other. And they were all veterans or first responders, I think, if I'm remembering right. But it was funny because they all had, a lot of them, almost all of them had TBIs. And when I was looking and flipping at the pictures, I'm like, holy fuck. I was like, they all look like me. And when I said that, I was like, not that they were like awesome Asians, but I was like, they all, again, like no disrespect to anybody who's lost a limb or is all like, whatever, but like they all look like me. Like they didn't have it wasn't a limb loss or they weren't in a chair. Like they all just looked like an average day person.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think for anyone can understand this, anyone who is in a chair, who does have limb loss, who is like maybe extremely disfigured or whatever have you be, who's a female, who's, transgender, who's black, who's white, whatever. People can understand or can like whatever with representation. And when you feel like you're being represented or whatever, you gravitate to that.
Okay.
And that's what made me gravitate to that, is because I'm like, they're just like me. I saw somebody who was just like me, and
Mm.
I'm like, oh, they're doing that. I can do that. Because
Hmm.
I'd been at the gym and I'd been scared to do a lot of things because of my TBI, and
Yeah.
I was holding back and doing all sorts of other things. And also, I always thought like, well, I don't deserve it because, I'm not in a chair, or I'm not like Tyler who's been shot in the head, or I'm not like, so, but I'm just like, no, they're just like me and they're getting to do that. I'm like, that's so awesome. Like I want to be able to do that. So it was huge for me to see that, and it kind of changed my mindset on a lot of things. Um, because for me, like that representation is really important for me. And again, that's me personally.
Yeah.
But that was really big for me to see. And so after I saw that, I was like totally online looking ATF up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, and I was like, it says Leo too. I can apply. So that was also like really big for me because lots of times for me it was a big kind of hump to get over, um not being able to be like included
Hmm.
as law enforcement, because there's lots of opportunities for veterans, but the fact that you guys, Boeing, included Leo in that, I was like, oh, that's so awesome. Like
Yeah.
having opportunities. And then when I was at ATF, having Mike talk to me about saying, when there's opportunities, you just have to say yes,
You just
and
have to.
and be open to them, not look at all the doors that are closed, but find the ones that are open. And that was a huge like mind shift for me to be like, yeah, that's big.
So I know when you got to ETF, at least from what I remember, you were pretty damn quiet. You were super quiet like day one. But let me tell you, when you graduated, I think you were the biggest one talking the most shit to everybody. It was amazing. I loved it. Um, you cultivated. You were at the hotel with the hotel crew, and you ended up cultivating really close friendships out of this whole experience. Um, One thing I do want to talk about and give a shout out to is your trainer, Will.
Well,
This trainer. He's 19 years old. Did you know that?
yeah, yeah.
He's
He's just a little
He's a little
baby.
baby. He's 19. He's already gone through the fire academy because they can do that down here through their high school. And now he's been applying for fire departments. And when he shakes your hand, he looks you in the eyes and he's like, "Nice to meet you. I'm William." Like he is like, I hope one day if I have a son, he's just like him. Just the
Yeah.
way he holds himself, his composure and all that good stuff. But you would never know he's 19 until you hear him talk. Till you hear him like bullshitting with the guys, and it's like, oh yeah, he's totally our little brother. Totally. But let me ask you this because being trained by legit like a kid who likes to rub it in my face that he wasn't even born when 9/11 happened. Asshole. What did you even question that, or did you trust the process, or did you kind of give him some digs on that sometimes, or what did that look like for you to have him and the support trainers? I don't want to forget them. Have them supporting you through your 9 week, 10 week journey.
I definitely think I trust the process. They knew that I had a CrossFit background, and will have that background as well. Um, and I think that, I mean, Will was nothing but, like you said, like nothing but professional, nothing but, respectful.
Mm.
I think that, yes, training is a huge portion of it, and he did an excellent job at everything. But there's so many moments in between training and stopping and going and everything else like that. And you have your support trainers as well. And there's such a big blend. I felt that for me, having Will and having Bethany and having Crystal and having oh gosh.
Is it Natalie?
No, it's not Natalie. Vanessa.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had such a menagerie of trainers
Mm.
that were well suited for my personality and for the things that I needed.
Yeah.
I felt that like it was so beneficial for me to have, and I felt that, that was the right thing for me. And so I never doubted um what ATF had done and had in store for me in regards to that aspect. I think it was perfect.
I love that. And it showed because you did everything that was asked. And you had the final workout, I believe it was the final workout at ETF. It was the Murph or one of the final
No,
ones.
we did the step up one,
Oh, Chad.
Chad. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. But I know you did the Murph like that week before or
Yeah, we
something. It
did
was
the Murph.
recently.
Yep, we did the Murph, like one of the second to last ones,
Yeah,
and then we did Chad.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah. You guys are animals,
Chad was
animals.
rough.
Um, I did hear. I know they did an interview with you. There was a news outlet. I don't know if it was Kansas City or Dallas. It was one of the news outlets. They did a
Hmm.
piece on you guys, on a few of you, and there's something that you said. I was like, man, I totally get it. Was again, like we talked about, was that camaraderie. How I'm going to paraphrase it. How ATF gave you something back along those lines when it came to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I think that's like the biggest thing is like going to these things and having that camaraderie. Like it was really big for me. Like I just talked to Mike today. Like I think I've talked to him almost every other day,
Your
if not every
one
day.
of your classmates from your class. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um and I talked to the other guys, text them. Having that camaraderie is so huge. It's something that you take away from ATF that's, I mean, I don't know, as an adult, it's one thing when you're kids, and you can remember, going away at camp or whatever, and remember going to college and having, good old college times
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But when you're grown ass adults, not a lot of people have the opportunity to take 10 weeks away from their adult lives and work on themselves
Mm.
and then be with 10 other people or however many people their classmates
Right.
are. And what they choose to do during that class and experience that class for themselves is really up to them. And so what they get out of that is really up to them. And so I'm very grateful for the relationships that I've gotten out of the time that I've gotten out of my class. And I mean, it's been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you're stuck with us now, whether you like it or not. Um,
Definitely.
David, he's built a really cool thing with ATF just by taking a chance on, one guy at a Christmas party, Travis Mills.
Hmm.
He saw an opportunity, like you said, and he took it. And it almost scares me. Had he not taken it, where would we be today? Our stories would be a lot different. It might be just as good, but it wouldn't be what we're experiencing in this moment in this lifetime right now, you know?
Hmm.
And I am forever grateful for David for that because that's the byproduct of what he envisioned for a gym is all these the community camaraderie and even families that have come out of this and the
Hmm.
kiddos and just like it's an amazing little and Jerry, freaking Jerry, just we're all a bunch of misfits. And it's I freaking love it, dude. So I am so blessed that you gave yourself a chance to experience not just ATF but something different than what you had so that you can get unstuck, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. ATF was a great blessing for me. I mean, it was great to get stronger and it was great to learn different techniques and everything else like that. But yeah, the biggest blessing has been like the new relationships and friendships that has come out of the program. So by far.
Well, with that, what are you taking away from everything? What happened to you 20 years to where you're at in this moment?
Um, I think that I'm every day and after every year passes, um, I think that I'm really gaining a lot more closure. It's a lot more easier to talk about too.
Yeah.
Before I could before I just hated everybody and everything,
Mm.
and everyone could go suck it. Um, and
Oh,
then slowly it was like, no, like, trying to figure things out in my head and then kind of talk things out to myself. But now it's to the point where like I can actually talk to other people about, what I went through, and tell people my story, and I can do it without, sounding like a fumbling idiot for the most part. And I think being able to tell your story when you're ready. I think Mike, I always call him Boeing Mike because I can never Mike Lawson.
Mike Lawson, yeah.
Yeah, had wonderful conversations with him during my class, and he was always saying that being able to tell your story is so important because you never know who else needs to hear it and who else is feeling exactly like you do and just needs to hear something similar. Your story is not always going to be like mine. Not everyone has the exact story like mine, but there could be just a 16th little bit of my story that resonates with you to make you not feel alone. And that can be so huge. Or there can be a little bit of the story that makes you feel like, oh, kind of like the post that Laura posted with that one class. It was like, hey, I see myself in that. That means that I think that I can give myself permission to go do something like that, to try it out. Um, that's super huge. The more representation that people see in other people doing things is huge. So the only way to do that is to get out and do it, or get out and tell your story. So that's what we got to do.
I love that. I love that. One of my recent guests, we were talking about finding purpose in your story. and that's what it's about. Well, but we got to go through. It's hard, dude. It's hard. It's only hard. But when you find safe places to share them, I think that's the game changer. Whether it be therapy, a friend, a podcast, hint, hint, plug in right here, right? That's the whole purpose of this. Dude, it just gets easier and easier to tell it in time. And we give people, like you said, permission to just, oh, okay, I got it. So I always said if people isolate because of depression or anxiety, or, we push people away when we're pissed off or we're depressed or mopey. We push people away, but we really want people with us. But if we push them away and we isolate, how do we get to those people? How do we get a story to them? And that's why we created this show. We got to get to them through them with social media, on a platform, on air, or we got to get into their home. If they're not going to leave, we got to get to them.
Yeah, for real.
So it takes people like you and all my other amazing guests to put your asses on the line, because somebody out there needs to hear it. And I am absolutely grateful, beyond blessed, and so much more for you guys for coming out here and doing this kind of stuff, because it takes a real champ to do that. And you're a real deal, Kate. I appreciate you so much.
Well, we appreciate you having the podcast.
So real quick, Kate, before I let you go, where can people find you if they want to reach out? What does that look like? Where can they find you and all that good stuff?
Oh yeah, for real. What do I have? I got Instagram at Adaptive Warrior KC. So you can holler at me there. Yeah, that's probably the safest bet. I'm sure my work would not appreciate me putting my work info after my inappropriate talking on the podcast.
Hey, dude, it is what it is at this point. Fuck it. If they got a problem with it, tell them to reach out to me. You got no control over uploading this, so they can reach out to me. I don't care.
Yeah.
But okay, with that, I'll put all the links and stuff below so people can, click on and all that good stuff. Does that sound cool?
Yeah, for real, man. This has been a blast.
Hey, dude, I can't. Jesus Christ. I swear. Sorry. I don't mean to take. Oh my God. I was getting off my rocker there for a little bit. You were taking us sideways, and I was just like a little squirrel. Like, let's go.
It's gonna go sideways real quick.
It did
with me.
Oh my God. You need your own show. Let me tell you that. We'll call it Asian Sensation.
Yeah,
Mia's Asian Sensation.
Persuasion. Mia, come on live with Mia's Asian Persuasion.
Oh my God.
Nighttime.
Oh my God. Stop it. Oh, you're using your sexy voice. God, I hope that's not your sexy voice, but still, it sounds so weird.
You're like, oh, we could talk like this.
$5.
Come online with Mia. Nighttime edition. Asian Persuasion. Tell me how you like it.
I am shutting you off.
Like it?
No, we're done.
You like it?
We're so done.